Hey guys,
I'm Kayla.
I'm Yana,
and we're Latte and Foam. Welcome back to another episode of Otome News.
Yes, it's been a minute since we've done like a news or any reported, and we actually have a lot of topics to talk today, so we're going to jump in. It's mostly about Voltage, so do you want to start?
Yeah, let me take the first topic. So we're going to be talking about some console announcements that Voltage put out recently. So back in February, we reported that Voltage was going to release 3 console games after the success of Even If Tempest, and they plan to release 2 of those this year in 2024, and the third one in 2025. First was Neon Mafia. The trailer dropped and gave details that alluded to the player rising in the ranks as a mafia boss to take back control over the country. In the short trailer, it appeared that there will be 4 groups, which means 4 different love interests.
Something interesting that I saw, apparently, I was reading through the comments, and then when I looked deeper at the art, the same artist that's on Cupid Parasite and Cafe Enchanté are the same artist, and I want to say, well, it's not the same writer exactly. No, it's actually the same writer as those 2 games, so it's kind of, I don't want to say cool, but like Otome, I didn't know they all kind of shared interchangeably. I feel like Voltage is trying to get in the game, hey, these are what the girls want, so we have to utilize the same team here.
Yeah, I definitely see them doing that.
I do like a good Mafia game. I feel like this could be cool. I like the color scheme. I wonder, and the way the trailer looked to me was that you're going to be the one that rises into the boss. That's a cool switch up, especially in the Mafia world.
Yeah, that one definitely looked unique in that way. Second one is Kaleido Tower. There wasn't much information about this game, but it seems like you look into a tower to see visions of some kind. It does seem a little bit similar to Even If Tempest in tone. And that's kind of funny because it's the same writer that was on Even If, so that makes a lot of sense. And then finally, there is the Red Bell Lament, and this is the one that I saw kind of recently that prompted us to look into this one. This title was previously called Vampire Hunter, so I thought that this was a 4th one that they were putting on when they hadn't even come out with the other 3 yet. But actually, it's just the renaming. That kind of tells you what that one's about within the name of itself. But all 3 of these were originally announced in November of 2023. We reported on it a couple months later. Neon Mafia and Kaleido were supposed to be released sometime later this year, and then Red Bell was set for 2025. But all of them are now pushed to 2025, which definitely makes sense to me because we were kind of surprised. How are you going to come out with so many console games on top of managing all of the mobile games that they do? So I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. We appreciate the transparency from them. They did come in a little bit late. It was we're all kind of waiting, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah, because I feel we obviously get it as we've had to push back for Snowkissed and things forevermore. So it's we totally get it. I just think the key is to be transparent about what you're doing to the audience who obviously clearly want something from you. So yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they went 3 years or something. So I feel it was good for them to just be transparent that they needed more time. And that kind of leads us into our next topic. Do you want to take that one?
Yes. So if you guys have been following Voltage obviously before, they had been leading up to this huge announcement. They kept putting in posts saying we're going to release the pictures and all this other stuff. Now some of the pictures were very clearly Even If Tempest DLC, and I'd like to point in right now, as I always do, Even If Tempest sucks. You cannot convince me otherwise. I hate Even If Tempest. But if you like Even If Tempest and you keep buying them DLCs, you do you, y'all. You know what I mean? Keep buying it. I just hate it. But anyway, but there was something else that they were alluding to. So I'm thinking this is going to be another mobile app game. But then I was I don't know. They just did Can We Start Over, which we did a video last time about. So I was maybe it's just another thing. But I knew it wasn't a console specifically. So it was weird. Anyway, finally they announced on September 20th that they have now basically a new subdivision called Amulet. And it's just where all their consoles are going. So the way that I would look at it is this. You have Voltage, which usually is known for their mobile apps and their mobile games. And Amulet is a subdivision of that only handles console first. Because you could argue and say some of their titles that they've ported over are console too. So why isn't it under there? But Even If Tempest is a console first and there's nothing mobile on it. And the same thing will be for Neon Mafia, Kaleido Tower, I can say words, and the Red Bell's Lament are all of that. So they're going to be basically under Amulet, and they have their own Twitter dedicated to that. So hopefully maybe they'll just talk about that and not get it intermixed. So that I can respect. But yeah, I guess it was just that's what you were saying, that you're going to announce a new division and whatever. go for it, queen. Like, I guess.
I know. I think they needed it because they were like,
Yeah.
well, we already have all these other projects that we're trying to manage. And so it's kind of like when they cut off Voltage USA, I feel like this was their move. Like, now we're going to have a console team instead of having it be like a US and West. It's just a global mobile versus console team.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you bring up Voltage USA. I actually learned some new things. So we were kind of scrolling around, and it was like, this is announced months ago, so we're kind of late to the tea, but we just want to bring this up. So I don't know if I know a lot of people do remember Voltage USA. We remember when it was still the individual apps, because I still miss the individual apps, but they had basically one-to-one the same apps. So not all of them, but there was like one of my favorite games on Voltage is My Sweet Bodyguard. They had one called Love in the Force, or like...
No, it's Protect.
Oh, what was To Love and Protect. That's
To Love and Protect. Yeah.
Same characters, basically. They just have Americanized names, but same storylines, like everything. And I was like very hyper realistic. And then they have 10 Days with My Devil.
They also have Be My Princess, which is the first one I ever saw. And it like freaked me out. I got an ad for it. And because I was already playing, I started with Dreamy Days. And I think Be My Princess was maybe my next one, or like within the first couple that I played. So then when I later got that ad, I was like, oh, are they ripping off like these games that I play? And I found out it was the same company. They just were like, if you want, more of a hyper-realistic Americanized vibe, here you go. We'll put it on the screen. It looks so crazy to me.
Yeah, because they did the same thing with 10 Days with My Devil. It's called My Killer Romance, and literally same story, same everything, but they had all these characters. I could not get into the main guy, though, who was basically Kaleido, because his name was Xavier, and my brother's name is Xavier, so I was like, no,
the American names, it becomes risky because you might know somebody with that name.
Yeah, so basically in the same way that Love 365 was kind of evolving into just doing the single app, they did the same thing at Voltage USA, and they changed it into Lovestruck. So they were coming up with all these apps, came out. Lovestruck updated, I would say, a lot more than Voltage did. Voltage was doing full stories, but Lovestruck did more ticket system. If I'm incorrect, definitely correct me in the comments, but that's how I kind of remember it. But they had a lot more games. Some of the games had like 9 seasons, 10 seasons, and I was like, I don't remember all that.
And they started going into a different direction too when it became Lovestruck. Rather than that hyper-realistic that we talked about, they kind of did more of an anime style, but not an anime style. More of like an American cartoon. Like if you ever watch like the comics, when they have cartoon versions of them, like the Batman, Arkham, all that stuff, it's kind of more that style, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what they did do that was really cool and innovative was they definitely had a female love interest as well. So I think that they were winning in that, lane. But unfortunately, I would say due to financial reasons, they were not profiting nearly as much as Voltage, the regular app or the sister app did. So they just shut it down. I feel like it was so cold, like the way they did it. They're like, we're done, bye-bye, don't ever see me. And they didn't like offer you anything. And the reason why I dislike something like this, in a way, I understand sometimes you just got to take the app off. It costs money to keep the app going and alive. But sometimes you're just like, wow, like people spend like hundreds of dollars and it's just gone now.
I know, when it's ticket systems like that. And I feel like this was kind of the height when they did Lovestruck, and it was kind of popping, was during the height of what was it called again? Is it Stories? You did it. Episodes.
Yes.
Of episodes. And it was very much that like same vibe. Like people who played episodes would definitely play Lovestruck. But yeah, and then it just kind of sucks because you use tickets for things in that, and so for that to all be gone, it's just a shame. And there was some huge super fans I remember that made videos and like posts about it. They're very upset.
They posted about it, and so there is actually a petition. It's still live to like basically bring Lovestruck back. And I don't, they're never gonna bring the app back, but they did hear you, and they brought back in July a really popular title, Astoria's Fate's First Kiss, and it's like being Greek gods, goddesses, and monsters, basically, where you can fall in love and a kiss kind of changes it. I honestly never read the story, but I know so many people that are in Otome Twitter that I knew and like talked to, super into it, so they were super excited. So I don't know if this means or spells like a later on, I don't know why I said A, sorry guys, but maybe this will mean that they'll bring more. But I'd like to bring attention to saying, like, sometimes we feel like if we speak out that nothing will change, or that if we speak out that's like it'll go wrong. But these companies do hear you, because what they see first with these larger companies, money is first, and if they know that they can make a profit, they will. And they brought it to the Switch. I'm not saying that there's not good intentions there. I'm not a super hater. I'm just saying, like, if you speak out, you'll get some shit done.
Yeah, I feel like there is definitely, they listen to the voices, just depending, especially with Voltage. I feel like they do, because they're always trying to find new angles and new products. Maybe a little too much at times, because it's like love choice and all these different things. But
yeah. And before I like move on from the console stuff, because there's one other and two other things I want to talk about Voltage, but this actually pertains to both Steam and Switch, is about difference in prices on Switch versus the Steam. So I'll have Kayla like put the pictures on like the difference in prices, but Nintendo actually has a rule that if you were on another system first, you can't charge less for or more on Nintendo. They make you kind of match it. If you do Nintendo first and then after, they can't do anything. I feel like that's what Voltage did, because a lot of the console games are like $25, and then on Steam they're $30. And I don't know if it's like the price differentiation. I don't know why they do it that way, but I'm like, shady.
Well, isn't it with Steam? Because obviously we've been looking into that and getting things set up on our own end for things. Isn't it to where you put what you want to charge and Steam has the final say on what actually gets charged?
Yeah, so I would feel like they then put more, and then Steam was like 30 is what it is. Because I don't see how Voltage would put like 25 and then Steam was like, we're saying you're worth more. You know what I mean?
Oh, I get. Well, I mean, they want more money too. Like, if they decide that the niche is hot enough, and they're like, if 30 is more in line with the other games in the niche, I don't know.
It's possible. I just think that it's not fair prices along the line for their customers. Like, I get that Steam ultimately makes the choice, but I feel like, you know, sometimes you should be more, again, transparent. Like, this is why, and Voltage hasn't. So that's just like my opinion on it.
I feel like they don't even want to touch that topic, because it's like then they have to get into why their mobile games, when you piecemeal buy everything, it's like quadruple 10 times the price, basically. It's crazy. Okay, so our last Voltage related topic, they really dominated this episode, is Princess in the Mirror. So this was their most recent standalone app that they tried again, which is really interesting that they have like Love 365, and then they're also like, let me do a few standalones. Like, what are the other ones? It's Ayakashi and Court of Darkness, I think.
Yeah,
so this was the third one. It's Princess in the Mirror. And basically, they've come out and said that they're no longer going to be updating it after just 1 year and 5 months, I think. So that is a really short time. If you played that game, let us know if it just wasn't good, or like, what do you think the reason is that they stopped this? We saw that they had made their own account for Princess in the Mirror, and it wasn't super popular in comparison to their other accounts. So maybe it just didn't hit well, but...
And it wasn't hitting like it was supposed to be hitting. But... yeah, I guess I could say, like, if it wasn't, I get that. They were like, profit-wise, like, we got to get him up out of here. And they just, like, kind of did what they could do. I know it's like, it makes me think of those party ones that they had, like, you know?
Yeah, the party ones is so interesting, because it was like the same concept, because they didn't want to have to create whole new characters, but it was like in a different setting. Like, you work at a shoe store, for example, instead of being just staying at the princess house in the Be My Princess one.
Yeah.
But
for our final announcement, we're just talking about some, again, late news. It was announced, I think, on Nintendo Direct, but TokiMeki Memorial, so not the girls' side, but the regular TokiMeki, is coming and making its console debut to Switch, because it's been on consoles before, obviously. But, you know, seeing that success, they probably like, listen, we can get our bag on these old ones. I have seen some of the playthroughs of the old ones, and I'm like, they're both interesting on their own thing, and they still get mentioned in media constantly, so I'm not surprised. Whether or not they'll localize is a whole other thing. I don't know. I'm not saying that they won't. I just don't foresee it anytime soon. You know, they could have localized all the new TokiMekis, but they didn't. They just released one in 2021. Obviously, they do it very, like, years in between, and they just don't think about the local. I don't think they don't think about it. They do. They're just like, you know what I mean? I don't want to speak for them, but that's kind of my thought about it.
I kind of feel like they don't think about it, just because they just don't have any that are localized, and they just keep continuing to not do it. And then when you think of companies like Ruby Party for Angelique, they actually have gone as far to come out and make a statement to say that they are not going to localize when they heard people on social media wanting it. So I don't know, it just seems like a choice at this point.
I always think they're like, why don't you just download Token Randy Warriors? And we're like, yeah, no, it's like not the same.
Not anywhere near what we're asking for, but thank you so much. But speaking of Angelique, before we go, I do want to shout out our game, Snowkissed Romance. I hope you guys love the announcement. We haven't posted it yet, but we have filmed it, so we're just like preparing. We're in that in-between time. It was a little teaser, and a lot of you guys commented and reacted to that, so we're super excited to see you guys are excited to see that announcement. But yeah, that one is going to be taking inspiration from games like TokiMeki Memorial and Angelique, and doing so for the global audience here. So we are super excited for you guys to get your hands on the demo December 20th, 2024.
Yes, so yeah, we just want to give you guys a little quick update, and hope you like this. Talk to you later. Bye.